Well, I got a couple questions. One is about people who are convicted based on the DA's determination and the execution of innocent people, you know, with all of the new technology and DNA and all of that, and they're finding people not guilty years later. Where do you stand with that?
Well, it's kind of a big open-ended question. I think that any case where an individual is eligible for the death penalty, a decision has to be reached after careful consideration of absolutely all the facts. And it's important that there be a policy in effect so that the protocol is followed in each of those cases and that a decision is made. What's important to remember is, even if a decision is made to seek the death penalty, that decision is going to be reviewed throughout the investigation and prosecution of the individual, and it will continue even if the individual is sentenced to death. What we're finding with regard to death penalty cases in California is that it's rare that the death penalty is even enforced. What's happening is people are dying of old age before the penalty is even imposed in California. And indeed, there's been a moratorium in place because of the allegation of cruel and unusual punishment in the way that the penalty is being imposed. What I found distressing was reading recently about some fellow who said he would rather receive the death penalty than life in prison because the facilities afforded people on death row are better. That was frightening to me. You get your own television, apparently, you get your own cell, things of that nature. And the appeals process just drags on and on and on for years. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's important that there be an appeals process, because ultimately what we're trying to do if we enforce the death penalty is take someone's life. And there's a certain contradiction in the notion that we're punishing someone for taking a life by taking their life in return. Absolutely. But right now that's the state of the law in California, and if I'm elected as district attorney, it's my job to enforce the law. I'm going to tell you, however, Ida, you may know this already, I've prosecuted a number of murder cases here in Sonoma County, and those are cases where death was a potential penalty. In none of those cases did we seek the death penalty. In all of those cases, the individual was facing and ultimately received a sentence of life without parole. What that means is you go in and you never leave until you pass away. The victims' families have a sense of closure when that verdict is rendered. Yes, there will be an appeal, but the appeals process is nothing like it is in a death penalty case.